Let's talk about how to create engaging voiceover for your video. And the thing is, it doesn't matter your industry, doesn't matter your business, doesn't matter your role. If you have engaging voiceover for your video, you are going to trigger engagement. You are going to have a more engaged audience, a more engaged listener base or a viewer base. So let's have an overview here. The thing here is that when we analyze the voiceover and its impact on video production, for example, we have seen in the last 25 years that audio is now a massive part of video creation. Okay, and it doesn't matter the geography or the let's say the profile of your target audience. The target audience will resonate. They will actually find your voiceover resonating to them if you're able to create the right sort of I would say combination of voice, of imaging, and content. When we talk about content, we also are speaking about context, because the content that you deliver, let's say during the holiday season, is not the same content you deliver around the summer. So this is really important. So the thing is that you don't want the audience to go through the painful, slow, and expensive process of listening to a voiceover that is not engaging. So it's really important also to pay attention to what kind of resources you have, because see, if there is a gap, if there is a big delta between your resources and the kind of goals you have, you will be frustrated and your team will be frustrated. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a fantastic pleasure, fantastic honor to have you here and have this sort of convo with you about how to create engaging voiceover for your video. See, the whole thing here is that when we talk about audio production and we're talking about voiceover for your video, for that matter, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy, and that plan has to be in sync with your resources and goals. This trifecta is really important. If you want to create engaging voiceover for your video, please remember to have this trifecta: your goals, your resources, and the plan that you have. I mean, obviously, if you have the right plan, execution will follow. But if you have a plan and if you have a great plan and your execution really is not really where it should be at, this could be a problem. So this trifecta actually is a quartet. It's not a trifecta, it's a quartet, because execution actually is part of the whole equation. So long story short, if you're thinking about creating engaging voiceover for your video, pay attention to those 4 elements. Let me give you the pro tips that you need to really pay attention to here. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of several things. First, you got to have the perfect script. So your video might look great. It feels like your brain captures the message well and transports the emotion you are going for. The audience loves it, or the audience might start thinking about, how do I feel about it? How do I feel about the whole delivery? How does this sound make me feel? How does this video make me feel? So the question you got to ask yourself, is the audio track doing it justice as well? So you got to think about the perfect script, for example. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I am explaining to you how to create engaging voiceover for your video. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect scripts and other things. So you might have big letters with a clear message on the screen, but it is hard to get the details across without a good script. So a good starter, what you want to have here in terms of a starter rule, you want to summarize on screen and flesh out the details in audio. So let me give you an example. Are you trying to score points with a high-stake clients? You might even want to go to the extra mile and personalize the script accordingly. Like you can include the company's, let's say the client's company, name, product, industry, or city in the audio track. So this will be fantastic. See, when we talk about audio advertising in general and audio production or video production for that matter, personalization becomes really important. I mean, nowadays you have personalized audio ads, you have personalized video ads, you have personalized mobile ads, you have a constellation of bespoke pieces of content that are just really being bombarded onto the internet. So the perfect script is a script that really resonates with your listener. If you're talking to one person, make sure that you personalize the content. If you're talking to several people or a group of people, make sure that you actually speak to them in such a way that each member of that group feels as if you were talking specifically to them. So the power of personalization is really important. So when we talk about personalization, it could be done several ways. I mean, if you have the right tools, the right staff, the right I would say the right strategy, you could really have in the end the perfect script. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect script and the perfect voice. So the thing is, when we talk about branding and we talk about sonic branding, your brain has a personality, and the voiceover should capture that personality. Do you have like a jolly tone, a jolly brain? Do you have a more serious brain? Do you have an adult? Like, do you have like, are you catering to an adult audience? Are you catering to a younger audience? What is your sonic brain? Don't make that choice lightly. A voice is the main component that your viewers will or will not connect to. So upbeat and joyful or generous and reflected, male or female, young or mature, accent or not. So no matter what choice your choice might be in the end, pay attention to that. To pay attention to the tone of the voice. Okay, the voice. Make sure that the voice is clear, has high quality, and speaks with the right pace. But most importantly, make sure it sounds and feels right for what you're trying to communicate. See, it's not just about you trying to communicate to an audience, right? You're talking to an audience. Yeah, that's true. Okay. And you know your audience really well. That's true. Okay. But what are you trying to get out of it? What is your CTA? What is your sonic CTA? What is your sonic call to action? Or what is your video CTA? Because at the end, when people watch the show, when people watch the video, people hear the ad or the sound, they want to make sure that they are doing what you want them to do, right? Because the bottom line here is you're not a charity. You have business purposes around everything you're doing. You want to make sure that people are following through. So it's one of those things where I'm just telling you, it has to go back to what I said earlier. You have to make sure that your strategy isn't really in sync with your goal, with your resources, with your plan. You got to really have a plan and the geography where your audience is located at. So see, if your audience is at a nightclub, hearing or just watching your video, their reaction will not be the same thing as if your audience member were at a gym, for instance, or were at home, just chilling or reading or watching a news segment or watching a finance news segment, for instance. The reaction are different. You also have to pay attention to an audio arc that actually supports your story arc. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect scripts, the perfect voice, and audio arc that supports your story arc. Let me just break it down for you. See, the thing is, when we talk about audio arc, we're speaking about several things. Your viewers will only remember a few points of your masterpiece. I mean, I don't care if you spend like 1 year or 10 years working on the masterpiece. Your viewers in the end, and you're doing the same thing too. I'm doing the same thing too. When your viewers actually watch the video, even if the video is like 1 hour or 10 hours, viewers will remember only a few, like a summarized version of it, an abridged version of it. It's just how the human mind works. Don't try to fight it. Trying to understand how the thing works, okay? And so your viewers will only remember a few parts of your masterpiece. So make sure they are the right ones. The question is, what kind of message do you want the viewer to actually take away? That's the thing. What is the takeaway? Or what would you want the viewer to take away? So your audio track should accentuate and support this. And you want to keep things simple. Don't try to complicate things. Don't try to razzle dazzle listeners or viewers. Don't try to confuse the hell out of them. No, keep things simple. And so if you want to keep it simple and straightforward. And one thing I want to say here is that you want to start with an engaging intro. You want to create the main part so it sounds different and that it leaves a bit more room for the voice, and then finish strong with an outro that sounds active and supports your call to action. In the end, as I just said, you're not a charity, you're not a philanthropy, so you have a call to action, or at least you should have a call to action. Otherwise, why would you spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars trying to create a video? So you want to have a call to action so that in the end, you are able to get exactly what you want. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I'm having a conversation with you about how to create engaging voiceover for your video. And I'm just talking to you about having an audio arc that supports your story arc. And your story arc is basically what you want your audience, your listeners to actually take away from the video. So by having an audio arc, here we're speaking about having a voiceover that accentuates important elements of your audio, important elements of your video. You also need to have the perfect sound design. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect script, the perfect voice, an audio arc that supports your story arc, and also the perfect sound design. So when we talk about sound design, we are speaking about let's say a constellation of things. And when we talk about the sound design, it takes years, it takes experience, it takes acumen, it takes knowledge to get it right. It's not easy to get it right. We all have our own favorite music genre, and sometimes it can be hard to take a step back and recognize that, what will make us happy is not the same thing that will make the audience happy, and we are producing for the audience. Okay, so you have to think about what really what could make your video shine. Do you want a jazzy vibe for a mature audience or attract young customers with an EDM sound? What is almost always true is that it should not be a background music track. It has to be something that people have to really, really remember. Let me give you an example. When was the last time you actually remember the music you heard or listened to in the elevator? Chances are you haven't, right? Because nobody pays attention at those moments. So you want to be able to have you want to have a music that resonates with the audience and that they can remember. See, the whole thing is when we talk about using video, using audio, using all those types of elements, you want folks to remember you, but not just you as a person, but remember your brand. So we talk about sonic branding, talk about video branding, talk about mobile branding. Those things are important elements. And so depending on the platforms where you have your audio delivered or your video delivered for that matter, you want to make sure that the content resonates with your target audience. And so to support your narrative and the progression of your story, if you want to have a story arc, the progression of your story arc, there should be well executed transitions in the sound design as well. So sound design, so if you close your eyes and I'm asking you, what is a sound design? Sound design is a sequence of sounds within your video or within your video. So if you are thinking about voiceover, you want to make sure that you have the voiceover placed at the right sound stage, if you will. And you also want to think about the right audio production. So the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect script, the perfect voice, an audio arc that supports your story arc, the perfect sound design, and the perfect audio production. So if you get all of the above right, the five that I just told you, like the four, perfect script, perfect voice, audio arc, and perfect sound design, it can still be all ruined if you have an audio production that does not match the quality of your audio, your video creation. So you got to really think about it. Whether you use a Powtoon, Animaker, or Scrapply, you have to think about the final audio production. Nothing is more frustrating than watching your video air right after a professionally produced video, that is the ad your hosting platform makes your users watch before starting yours, and then realizing that it just sounds and feels much less exciting. Think about it. Think about the gap. Think about the delta here. Like, you see something produced by, let's say, a Nike or a Walmart with all the production resources, and then you have your video and it feels like, okay, whatever. You don't want to have that feeling, and you know how it feels like. You know how that feeling, what that feeling is, right? So it's really important to understand that if you find your video not quite as big and bright, the voice unengagingly buried in the audio, or even worse, awkwardly standing out so it's all over the viewer's ear, or all over the viewer's ear or mind, whatever. You don't want that. You don't want the viewer to focus only on the voiceover. You want the viewer to focus on the story arc, the audio arc. You want the viewer to really to actually take cues that after he or she, the audience member, after he or she listens to your voiceover, is able to take action, the specific action you want him or her to take. And so to get started, just try to get two things right. I mean, if you don't have a budget, if you don't have a sizable budget, whatever, don't worry about that. You want to get two things right. Adjust the relationship between voice and the rest of the audio so that it sounds okay when you compare it to a professionally produced video. That's number one. Then what you want to do here is you want to apply some basic mastering settings in your audio editor to make it sound as big as if, you really did it professionally. So the bottom line here, you want to make it sound and big, but not distorting it. It has to sound natural. It has to flow flawlessly. Very, very critical. Let me give you a few pro tips before we actually close to this conversation. So everything I just told you, the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect script, the perfect voice, an audio arc that supports, that underlies your story arc, the perfect sound design, the right audio production. All of this might sound intimidating at first, right? You're like, wow, I can't believe, this is a lot of stuff anyway. No, it's not. The thing is, if you don't have to become a pro at voiceovers. You don't have to become a pro when it comes to video marketing. You can outsource the whole thing. What I'm trying to tell you today is that if you really are interested in the topic, yes, then you have to really have a strategy. You got to have a plan. You got to have a formula for success. And you can actually you can even have an in-house team take care of audio production, video production. So it's really important to understand that those things, if you want to get the acumen that I just told you about, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a bit of expertise. Yeah, of course. You can't get it like in today, what people have been doing for 20 years or 30 years. No, it takes time. It also can be a lot of fun. I want you to look at the fun part of things, not just the work part of things. Of course, it can be, laborious, yes. But if you think of it as fun, then things become a little easier. You can just get started with a very cheap podcasting microphone and a digital audio workstation that might already be installed on your computer. For example, GarageBand is pre-installed on every Mac. And so if you choose, let's say, Powtoon, Animaker, or Scrably, depending on your animation platform, though, you can actually use those to create your video, or you can just, again, outsource the whole thing. And you want to actually make sure that you are able to produce a fantastic sounding voice over with the same ease and without a massive learning curve. And you can use a lot of tools out there. We have AI-driven tools. We have artificial intelligence-driven tools. But you also have ChatGPT. You have your ChatGPT nowadays. But you have a constellation of other players out there. So make sure that you write a script to support your video and organize it in 3 sections. You have the intro, the main, and the outro. You can include flexible parameters if you want to create different versions of your voiceover and your video. Choose from almost 200 or to 500 AI voices. You have different platforms that have different iterations of AI voices. And these voices will use text-to-speech and transform your written words to voiceover in seconds, and it will sound amazing. You can use multiple voices, like you can change speakers in the same voiceover, and you can also request the tool, whatever tool you use, to actually clone a specific voice, such as your CEO's voice, a voiceover actor, your own voice, or a celebrity that has agreed to represent your brand. You can choose a sound design that works for you. Again, when we talk about sound design, as I think I was explaining to you earlier, it is basically a set of sounds, music, and audio layers that will make your audio sound great. And the good thing is that if you have the right tool, the tool can actually blend together your sound designs, your different sound patterns, so that they actually end up synergistic. Like, let's say they are great in the end. You have some kind of synergy, some kind of harmony. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to create engaging voiceover for your video. And I explained to you what I gave you in the overview. And I explained to you that the perfect voiceover is a combination of the perfect script, perfect voice, an audio arc to support your audio your story arc rather, the perfect sound design, and the right audio production. And I gave you a few pro tips to help you get the job done real quick. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.